So how many times have I said that I will be posting videos more often? I think I've posted about 140 videos, somewhere around there, over the past 5-ish years. Um, and I always say I'm going to come back with a million different things, stuff on mental health, a lot of music stuff, stories, and it's been almost 60 days since I have uh, published a video. But that is changing. And the reason why is that I have left my job. Um, Something that I had been thinking about for some time. It's a great job, awesome colleagues, working in music, user experience, something that I had never really been sort of singularly focused on in the past. I've mostly done partnerships in biz dev and sort of entertainment, music, tech. But this was an opportunity that came along that I couldn't pass up. And I sort of knew that it was a multi-year gig, but probably not much beyond that. And at what I think it turns out to be exactly 2.5 years, last Friday was my final day at this company. Nothing nothing lined up. I was doing consulting in the same space before I took this job. I took this job in late 2022, and I would like to get back into that. But primarily, I want to start doing the things that I've always wanted to do. I have a little bit of a cushion. So what does that mean? That means talking and sharing stories about music and mental health, and doing more work in the mental health space. There's a couple of ideas I have that have been sort of just bouncing around in my head for decades relative to mental health that I want to try and pursue. And I'm going to spend more time on this channel talking about music because talking about stories mostly related to music, because that's why I keep doing these and I enjoy it. And that's that. So I'm hoping for a couple videos a week, 2 to 3 a week, on a variety of topics. And I've also had some life events recently that have sort of been like a curveball to the jaw. Knocked me back a little bit, but that will be discussed in another video. As you can see, it's a very personal video, 3.5 minutes in. But the point of this video was last night I was poking around YouTube, and I think the gentleman's channel, Noble Records, I'm not that familiar with it, but and the ones, if I have the name right, the videos I've seen of his, I really like. He seems like a very sweet, funny, it seems like a good guy. I'll get the link to the video that I'm referencing. And I think the title of the video was 10 records that I took forever to find or something. And I'm sure I've done some variation on that in the past, but now that I'm ramping this up, this channel up, it felt like a good topic to hit on. I don't think I've ever done that exact topic. Maybe something very similar, but so here they are, 10 records that took forever to find. Some of them don't necessarily fall into that, took forever to find, but rather records that I can't believe I found or got. So to start is one that I bought recently, and this is the Flatlanders, More a Legend Than a Band. Huge record for Lane and me. When we were getting into the alt country scene in the 90s, I can't remember which one, we were just discovering records and mailing each other CDs all the time. This was one of them. I think he discovered them. And this I didn't even know existed on vinyl. A lot of these I paid pretty penny for. Uh, and this is just, it's one of the great, I think it's one of the greatest country rock record, country folk, I don't know. I mean, Jimmy Dale Gilmore, Joe Ely, Butch Hancock. I took a photo with Joe Ely in Austin once. I should share that sometime. He was such a nice guy. I know Joe Ely, I think he's friends with Springsteen too. You know, I'm just tied into all the stars, I guess. Being sarcastic. Oh boy. So this one I got maybe 6 months ago. Played it 10 times. Incredible record. If you don't know it, play it. This probably has the longest story, and I've shared it here before, but I think it was 1998. Lane and I were on the hunt. Lane was living in Cincinnati, I think, at the time. I was out of college, living back home in New Jersey prior to moving into New York City. And he was on he was just trying to find this record. If memory serves, we forget it now, but On the Beach, I don't think was released at all. I mean, it was released on vinyl at, I think, the time of its release, which is, what's this, 73, 70, 74. But it wasn't available on CD. Obviously, weren't streaming services at the time. And one day Lane left me a message, a voicemail message, and he's like, keep an eye on the mail. And we were just rabid at the time, finding good new music. And I finally, a week went by, nothing arrived, so I went down to the local post office in New Jersey, a little town in northern New Jersey where we grew up, and the clerk went looking for it and came back and she said, oh yeah, here we have it. And I remember I was so excited. Vinyl back then, to find something like this was a huge deal. Now it's been reissued, it's out on CD, it's on all, is he still off of some Spotify? I'm sure it's on Apple Music. It's my favorite Neil Young record, and we didn't have access to it. I remember I got into my car, and I didn't know what it was. I knew it was going to be a record, because that's what we shared. We shared magazines as well, but the magazines would be about music. And I remember I saw this, and I was like, oh my God. And I rip it open, and it's completely shattered. In many pieces. Totally destroyed. No way to fix it. I called Lane, and he was just so sad that happened, or just so bummed out. And I just told him, I was like, dude, it's one of the greatest gifts I've ever gotten from somebody. You and I have been looking for this record forever. We'll get it eventually. And then I think it was, another 10 years before they started to properly release On the Beach. So this is not the copy Lane sent me. I'm sure that is somewhere, because I wouldn't have thrown it away. But we forget that a lot of I think there's many more in addition to On the Beach that were just not available. Thank you to my brother for sending that to me. It was a very thoughtful gift, even though it found its way to me in bad shape, but it was a great gift. This was not something I was looking for, and I'm surprised that this isn't $1 million on Discogs. So it's a Wilco 10-inch called All Over the Place. Came out in 1997. It's a bunch of live recordings from being there. This is, the Tweedy, Bennett, Sturrett, and Coomer version of the band with Bob Egan and Max Johnson. A lot of live versions, previously unreleased songs like Don't You Honey Me, alternate version of The Lonely One. They had a contest. I think they only pressed maybe 100 of these. And they had a contest where you could send them a postcard. I can't remember what the rules were, but what I did is I created a massive poster, the size of a movie poster. I think it was a movie poster. It was corkboard. And I put the CD covers of like my 50 favorite records. And I sent it to Wilco Management and I won. I was one of the winners. I got this a few years later. It's a great EP. If I think it probably goes for $30 or something on Discogs, all over the place. Wilco, Jay Bennett, Tweedy, worth picking up. Probably the record that defines my college experience. Beck's Mellow Gold. My buddy Brian and I used to drive around in this truck playing this record all the time. It took me forever to find this on vinyl. I love this record. Pay No Mind. Nightmare Hippie Girl's great. Of course, the big hit was Loser. Sweet Sunshine. Just a great record. And this is an original 1994 on Geffen. I'm gonna put this on right after this video, which I say all the time, and rarely it happens. And it rarely happens. Next, I talked about recently, and you can see even by the jacket, Jayhawk's first album. I looked in record stores throughout the Northeast for years for this. Years. I don't know why I needed that inflection. I would be in the Midwest visiting Lame when he lived in Minneapolis or Cincinnati. If I was in the Carolinas, I was sometimes down there for work, I think. I would go to record stores and I would just always look for this. I knew that it existed and could never find it. This is before they reissued it. Did they even call it Bunkhouse then? No, I think it's just like the first Jayhawks record. Bunkhouse Records. They reissued it. I looked for it forever and I bought it on Discogs. It's like falling apart here. I bought it on Discogs like 2 months ago. I'm going back to Discogs to get the ones that I've always wanted. Now this is a big one, huge one for me. When I discovered Uncle Tupelo, I've explained it a million times. It was like insatiable. Lane and I went to St. Louis. I'll do a video on that. I've told pieces of that story, but it's a great story. We drove cross country from New Jersey to St. Louis to research Uncle Tupelo for a book we were working on that I still wish we had finished. But I was so into Uncle Tupelo that I was looking for everything. I still, when I walk into a record store, look under you, thinking that there's going to be something that I don't have. That's 30 years later. But this, I went to college in Boston, and I think this was a year after I graduated. I went up to Boston with my girlfriend at the time. And of course, I was like, can we go record shopping? Sure, we went record shopping. All the places that I had already visited when I was in school there, but we went to a place called Nuggets, and I'm sure some people who are watching this remember that store. I'm sure it's not there anymore. It was up by closer to Fenway. I think it was near Fenway. And I went to the used section, and I got this. I'm gonna see if I can get that as close. It's Uncle Tupelo promo pressing of their first record, No Depression. $6. And I remember I walked up to the front of the store with this, and I was like trembling. And the guy at the counter said, somebody brought that in this morning, and I knew I should have priced it higher. And I just said, I would have paid a bunch more, and I was absolutely broke then, but if this was $40, I probably would have bought it. Just crazy. Release date, LP, cassette, June 18th, 1990, CD, June 25th, 1990. It's defective, it says at the bottom. The first 3 seconds of Graveyard Shift, side 1, track 1, are missing, and they are. And I'll just give you the quick blurb. Winners of the CMJ Readers Poll for Best Unsigned Band of 1989 and armed with one of the best live shows on either side of the Mississippi. Always reference the Mississippi when you talk about Uncle Tupelo. Uncle Tupelo are poised to win hearts and minds the country-wide. Hearts and minds the country-wide with their debut LP, No Depression. Uncle Tupelo are what you'd get if you threw the Flying Burrito Brothers and the Replacements into a blender. We always heard those kind of comparisons. It's country or folk rock combined with an amazing rock and roll attitude. tour to accompany release. Band will be on the road for the rest of their lives. Blah, blah, blah. So, and it was entered into their system on June 24th, 1990. So right around release time. And it's what is that? WMBR, which I think was one of the local college radio stations in Boston. I will sell this for $15,000. No, I won't. For 15. There's no way I'll ever sell it. That's the one I would grab first if I had to. Now I'm getting into records that I have recently spent a lot of money on. And this one I'm not gonna even say how much. But Molly Drake, Nick Drake's mother, right? It's not his sister, it's his mother. I had no idea that this was out on vinyl. And I found it in my local record store in very good condition. Looks like it came out 2013 on Squirrel Thing. Anything Nick Drake, I have to have. And I remember I saw this, I was in a good mood. It was a lot of money. I mean, not like $500, but I treasure it. It goes on a separate place. Surface Noise on Set Me Free. It sounds fine. I always wanted an original of this record, one of my favorite records of all time, Big Star's Third Sister Lovers. And I think there are many early, not many, but there are more than one early versions of this. This one says Near Mint 1985 on Gem Records, Jem, South Plainfield, New Jersey, not far from where I grew up. 1978 Visa Records, 1985 Gem Records. Paid a lot for this one too. I mean, you can see it was paid $70 for this, but it's one of my top 5 of all time. You know how it is. It's just one of those records. And then the last two I'll show together. 5 Leaves Left. Nope, that's not right. Brighter Later by Nick Drake and 5 Leaves Left by Nick Drake. I think any Nick Drake fan knows that this is coming out in a box set very soon. I'm gonna do an unboxing of that. I don't think I've ever done an unboxing, but that one deserves it. I cannot wait for that. I think it's next month. I got these, as I mentioned, my latest job was I was doing design, user experience work for a music festival company. I can give it away in 5 seconds because I bought these at Coachella, last Coachella, and it was from Record Safari, which, if you don't know Record Safari, you need to check him out. I think he's the best collector that I've ever met, just in terms of quality of used records that he sells. Every time I go, I see a ton of stuff that I never see anywhere. He's based in LA. He always has a pop-up. It's not a pop-up anymore. It's at Coachella every year. I'll link to his pages as well. I don't think he does much on YouTube, but I'll link to his record store page. He's always putting new stuff up. He travels the country. There was a documentary on him called Record Safari, which is great. If you haven't seen that, I highly recommend it. So thanks to, I hope I have it right, Noble Records, for the idea. I love your channel. I'm gonna watch some more of your videos. And I'm gonna be posting more. I got some free time, and it's time to really go, headlong into the stuff that I've always wanted to do during my free time. There is going to be a lot more on mental health as well. I'm going to be writing more about it on Substack. It has been it's time to start sharing a little bit more about that. Not a little bit more, a lot more. So thanks for stopping by. Obviously, hope you're all doing well, and I will check in soon. Take care.